is Jeff Andersen with Facebook Find Bigfoot, and I'm talking to John. Hello, John.
Hello.
And John, you have contacted our page because you actually have had two different sightings of Bigfoot over the years. Is that correct?
No, I didn't have two sightings. I had a sighting in 2005. 1984, I just had an incident that got my curiosity up years later.
Yeah.
I was out in southeast Ohio. It must have been 7 to 10 of us from my fraternity in college. We were doing a little overnight camp in the woods, and there was just some small pieces of gravel actually being thrown at us while we were around our fire, and some weird noises. We just really thought it was kids, but this is 1984, so it was some years later, probably almost 9 years later, that I started to get the idea maybe that was something relative to the Bigfoot phenomenon. There was a lot of talk about it in Ohio, especially southeast Ohio, and I had a relative at the time that was involved in that, and the expeditions going down to the Salt Fork area, Lake area there in Ohio, looking for Sasquatch. Yeah. And I was not a believer, and but the more as time went on, I heard that the phenomenon of creatures throwing sticks and rocks and things like that caught my attention, and I did become sort of an outdoorsman in the 90s in that area, and I had made an actual effort to go find this location again, which I've never been able to really successfully find. Yeah.
But tell us about your incident, because what caught our attention is you said that most of the interviews I've done, people have a sighting. It's a non-event in terms of violence, and no one seems to be other than stunned. But it sounds like in your case, you say that not all Bigfoots are necessarily friendly or just only curious.
There's no violence, no physical contact. I'm just the reason I contacted you initially is like we had discussed earlier, looking at your analysis of some videos. When you do find them in the background in your videos, I applaud you for that. But it seems like the couple of videos I saw where there was children out playing and they were watching, you just kind of seemed to think that maybe this is just a curiosity type of behavior. And I said, if that was a large animal of another kind, if it was a large cat or a couple large wolves, I don't think you would think it was just curiosity. And I don't see there's really any reason for you not to suspect that the Sasquatch creatures wouldn't be carnivorous and wouldn't be opportunistic. And I got the living crap scared out of me because I told you in the email that I don't want to go into all the details, and I'm getting very nervous right now talking about this.
Well, give us as many as you feel comfortable, I think, just so we can get a sense of what might have happened in that time frame, or you don't give us any great details, but...
I'm going to try to catch my breath here. Like I said, I didn't expect my heart to start racing. But, I had some reason to be driving through this part of West Virginia quite regularly. Okay. And I started to do something that I did a lot in Ohio over the years, which is go out and stop at a specific place, leave something, and come back later to see if it had been handled. You know what I mean? And so I did this numerous times, and not always in the same location, but this location I found seemed to be convenient off of a highway, and I could get there about 30 minutes off the highway. So this was the first week in March. I think if it was a Friday, it was probably March 1st or something like that. Maybe not. Maybe even then, February 28th or something like that. And then on the Sunday, coming back to the area, I stopped again. Okay. And this is when I had my incident. It was kind of late in the day. It was a pretty pleasant day, but I hiked up, and I was really, the way I measured it at the time, there was no such thing as GPS that I knew of. I didn't possess one, but I figured I was about 3/4 of a mile to a mile into the woods, and let me catch my breath again. And in some of your videos that I watched, I haven't got the chance to sit down and watch everything on your site, but I think I've heard you reference to the phenomenon of being escorted out of an area.
Mm-hmm.
Before I even heard that, I felt this thing with me. I felt like I was led into an area.
Really?
Yeah.
Like a trap.
So when I don't know what the level of intellect is there, so I don't know if you want to call it a trap or not. Anyways, I hiked into where I had left this gift, and as I had realized it got further in than I had left it. So I was pretty sure. I mean, I'm right on the same trajectory.
Mm-hmm.
So I know there's no exact trail or anything like that, but I thought I should have found it at this point. And about this is probably 10 to 15 minutes of just realizing that I'm in the wrong spot, probably because I don't see this thing I left.
Okay.
And I also knew I was in further because there's about 100 feet of incline over a period of, I don't know, maybe 200 yards. I realize I'm starting to go up this incline I hadn't before. I was more at the base of it.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, there wasn't a lot of growth. This is March. I could see pretty good through all these trees.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I saw this black dog just gliding along like the dog does, which is, where I was living at the time was in the Ohio Valley, and just walking along the river, which I would do a lot. It would be not uncommon at all to have a dog come running up that was running ahead of its owner.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was a situation like that. And I had no reason to think it wasn't a dog, but it got to a point where it stopped. It didn't reappear out of these trees, so I just kept walking, and I got a little bit closer, and I thought that dog hasn't moved out from there. If it's a dog, and there's no person coming that I see, so the only thing I had with me was a flashlight and binoculars. So I just kind of stopped. Something made me feel like you got to stop and look up ahead. So at this point, I am kind of looking up that incline, and I did find I found some movement. It just kind of looked like I don't know if you know what like a squirrel looks like when it's going up a tree.
Yeah.
But like a lump on the side of a tree.
Yeah.
And it was moving just a little bit. Excuse me, I'm using my earbuds and they fell out. But I'm getting my heart's beating again. So anyways, I just kind of stayed put where I was, and I was looking, and I hear this is not a squirrel, and so this is my left. So this particular tree I'm looking at, my left-hand side, which would be this thing's right-hand side, is where this lump is, and I look over to the other side of the tree, and there's something else moving on that side of the tree, and it just kind of almost looked like if you took the end of a long brush or something like that. It was just sort of a flat area.
Okay.
And I don't know what the power is on my binoculars, but I mean I had a good view of it. It was, a good portion of it was filling up the lens, and the more I watched, it was moving. This other thing, I went back to it, and it was kind of disappeared. And the more I watched, I thought, this is something back there. And at this point, I realized that there's something weird about this. And there's something off to my left making some kind of weird noise. Kind of like a whistling. Mm-hmm. Not like a whistle like I could do with my... in fact, I can't even whistle. But anyways, there was like no other sounds at all. It was pretty quiet. I didn't even hear when I was a distance away and this thing was moving. I didn't even hear it moving. I could see it. But when I just kept trying to look to my left and look around, I looked back to my right, and I had to try to find this thing again, which I did. And I thought, this time I'm going to kind of come up against this big tree about 5 steps forward and lean against the tree, so I can hold my binoculars still on this exact spot, so that I could keep looking around to my left.
Now, is it nighttime? You mentioned a flashlight. Were you looking through and using a flashlight to spot it?
It wasn't dark yet. I was afraid I might be out there after dark. So I've got this flashlight I've had this flashlight since 1984. I had to buy it for a job I was on. It's a 6-cell mag light, so it's really long. And it's really heavy. Yeah. And in fact, we still use it. Like when I go walking the dog, I carry it. But I mean, it actually could be a weapon. Yeah. But anyway, so I have a belt holder for it and everything. I had that on my belt. I didn't have it out or anything. Yeah. So I just had that and my binoculars. So it was still pretty light out. I must have been probably that time of year. The sun probably goes down about 5:45. So we're probably talking about 4 o'clock or so. I just thought, just in case I had that on me. It was still early spring, and anyway, so I did keep on this thing to where I could keep my lenses focused there, and I could look around the left. And one of the reasons I want to go back, and I don't know I'll be able to find this spot, is to try to see what that distance is up the hill, because it was almost near the top of the hill. And as I looked around the left, I was holding my binoculars steady, because I was bracing myself to look back, and it was still there, but it was showing more of itself, and it was a profile. And I mean, I really had to look. I mean, this whole thing went over about 10-15 minutes, and I didn't know what the hell I was looking at. Was it a profile of a face, or you saw? It was a face. Okay. It was a profile of a face, yeah, because it turned itself more in. I mean, it was sideways like that. It didn't move much, but it moved. Kind of, not just up and down, but kind of back and forth, too. Yeah. It did slowly, that if you just were looking from the distance with your naked eye, you wouldn't see it at all anyhow. But there's more noises coming from my left about every 90 seconds. And it almost sounded like it was getting closer to me. So it was kind of my left behind me. So I look around, and I could find nothing at all. So this happened a couple of times. About the third time I looked back there, it wasn't a profile anymore. It was a face looking right at me. So how good a view of the face did you get? Can you describe it? I got to study it. Yeah, this is all through binoculars. Yeah. Oh, and it was close up, man. I mean, this is when my heart's starting to beat right now. That's when I felt like, oh shit. There's something else back here to my left. Now the thing I thought was a dog. I mean, it seemed to be. When I saw it, I thought there's a dog. I thought like an Afghan terrier, whatever they call my Afghan, with the long hair and the because there was hair. It was hair moving and it was black. But I was thinking there's just a dog running ahead of its owner. So when it got there, I'm thinking it was a pretty large dog. I got a Great Dane here in my neighborhood. When it stands up, it's my height. If it kind of stands up on the fence to look over at me when I go by its house, it's about I can look at it face to face. So if its body was that size, it was thin. But if its body was the length of that dog, then with the legs that it had I'm going to say it's at least my height. I'm 6'1". So you think it was a Bigfoot on all fours running across the forest? This thing was on all fours when it ran behind these trees. Okay. Okay. I don't even really think it was up against the tree. I think it was kind of back, like, say, 3 feet to where it's playing peekaboo. Yeah. And well, there have been numerous reports of sightings where people say they're on their knees or they're crawling, they're belly crawling, and they're not always walking straight up. So this is consistent with what I've heard before. I don't know. I wouldn't say it was on his knee. And when it was moving to where I first thought it was a dog, it was not on its knees. Yeah, but it was a very graceful. It was like a glide. It wasn't even like it was like a dog bounds. It wasn't like that. Anyway, so when it was back there, I don't know what it was doing, except for that. At the time when I looked back, and it was always on its left hand side, my right hand side of the tree. and it never moved to the other side. But when its head was out, just at an angle, I mean, I got a good look at it. I just didn't see teeth or anything like that. I saw the mouth, the beginning of the mouth, and its nose, and the eyes, top of the head, all that stuff. But it's the reason I think it wasn't really like up against the tree is I'd never seen like hands or anything grabbing onto the tree, like holding itself there or anything. But anyway, it just appeared like it was back there behind playing peekaboo. This went on for a while.
The face, so you had a good view of it, just in detail. What did you see?
I can tell you in real detail. I mean, it's the color of it, it's the actual skin color. The closest thing I can describe it to is because I've gone down to the zoo where we got orangutans, chimpanzees, and gorillas, and about the closest skin color I could say was this old orangutan we got. It's like a gray with almost a Caucasian and gray mix. You know, and so that's what the skin color was like. But the biggest thing to say about it is if you looking at that profile from behind the tree, where I realized what the eyes were, the distance from the eyes to where the top of the head was, it was just very narrow. It was like it didn't have a forehead. Like
was there a cone head?
Well, no, it was like a flat head. But then when I look back and it's looking straight at me, you can see like a cone. So
maybe in your perspective. Yeah, okay, gotcha.
The cone is not like the front of the head. The front of the head, it just goes. There's eyes, and there's practically nothing. There's nothing you could call a forehead. And it just goes almost flat. And then, but when it's looking at you, you see like a cone. So the only thing I can say is it's something on the back of the head. It's not on the front of the head. So
how about the eyes?
The eyes are. I mean, there's like no white at all. I couldn't distinguish whether it was brown or black, but they were dark. And big. The eyes are big. Not gigantic big. I mean, it's within the human range.
Yeah.
But then the nose, right between the eyes. I mean, there's a nose. It looks just like a human nose. The only thing is when it had that profile view, there was no nose.
More of a flat face. Okay. Yeah.
Well, you can see that where the eyes. There's like from the profile. There's an eye socket there, and then it comes out to a cheek, and on down, and the mouth kind of juts out just a little bit, just slightly. But there's no nose there. Now, when it's looking at you, there's a nose.